on this really thorny issue that everybody has said. Child care is such a challenge in our community. Either families can't find care or they can't afford it. When they do find it, and businesses are saying it's really hard to recruit and retain our employees because there's not enough child care. And we're thoroughly delighted that we will be joined by two experts today. So Emily is the consultant, the business consultant for Let's Grow Kids, and she will introduce Shelley, who is at Casella and actually they have figured out one way to do it. And then we'll open up the discussion to what people would like to have happen in this community. And I'd like to start by introducing, I'm part of the Early Care and Learning Partnership, and two of our other board members are here, Darla Senecal, who works with Building Bright Futures, and Jody Brakely, who was the first female physician in the entire county of Addison, and was my daughter's pediatrician. And so we started this thinking that maybe it would be possible to find healthcare financing for child care, because we know that what happens in the first 3 years has such a huge impact on both children's health, but also long-term health, if we can prevent ACEs. So it has grown to saying we need broader solutions. We can't just have healthcare financing. We really need a community-wide approach to this. We'd like to thank our sponsors today, and I should let you know that you're being taped. So Fred Kenny is here from the Addison County Economic Development Corporation. He's running the machine, so if you're planning to say anything outrageous, you want to step where you can be seen. And Rob Carter is here from the Addison County Chamber of Commerce. So there he is, right here. Thank you. And we have a baby with us. Hooray. There are restrooms just down the hall. And we also want to thank the Congregational Church of Middlebury. They have let us use this incredibly beautiful space for free. Maybe the National Bank will brag a little bit later that they were one of the financiers of this project, as well as many people in the community. And the church also let us use their downstairs fellowship hall last night, which I think fair for parents and providers. So I will turn this over to Emily, and then we'll have a discussion after Emily and Shelley have spoken to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out. So I live in Middlebury, so this was an easy commute for me today. I am the business strategy director for Let's Grow Kids, so my role is really twofold. One is to work with businesses to help you look internally and figure out what benefits and practices would best support your employees, and then to help you become better advocates. So for those of you who are ready to speak out, we support you with letters to the editor and other public, basically what Shelley's doing here. We're doing some peer-to-peer work as well, so that we can help other employers figure out what solutions might work for them. So we've got a few materials just to let you know before you go. This is one of our introductory materials looking at just the conversation that we're going to have today, what you guys can start thinking of, some solutions that you can begin thinking of, because we know that industries in diverse regions, and depending on what you're doing, what industry you're in, and how big you are, that means your ability to meet your employees' needs is going to be different. So we really want to support you with whatever leg you're on in that. We are doing a business pilot right now where we're working with businesses individually to really help tailor what your needs are. So what I found when I started with Let's Grow Kids was that just about every employer was saying, yes, this is an issue. Either we can't recruit, we can't retain the employees that we have. Sometimes we're losing them because they can't find childcare, or they're distracted because the care that they're getting they're not feeling confident in. So they were ready to do something, and literally everyone I talked to was like, well, we have no idea what to do. Even if we've got a full HR staff, helping employees around their childcare benefits is still a new concept. So this business pilot is really designed so that we work with you to help assess your employees' needs, then to implement what you decide to do for them, and then to assess it. So if that's of interest to anybody, we've got a sign-up sheet. We'd love to know if you're here anyway, but you can check a little box that says I'm specifically interested in that. We were lucky enough to work with Casella about a year and a half ago. They were struggling with this issue, as many of you guys are, and so Shelley can talk a little bit about the pilot that they designed with their staff, but we really want to basically let you know that there are options out there, from flexible scheduling to actually financial support to partnering with the providers in your area. Wherever you're at, there's something for you. And I'll say personally, I used to own a business in town, and I found out I was pregnant a month after I opened. And so had that surprise of a baby and business together. And I was able to keep my baby with me for about 8 months, and then that became totally untenable. And so I used several of the providers in the area, and it was an amazing experience, but it was always this tension. And then 5 of my next 6 employees got pregnant, and I lost them one by one. And finally, with the last one, I couldn't keep the business running as well without her. And so I said, if you feel like you can bring your baby in with you, bring your baby in with you on the days that you can. And so that was the tiny tailored solution that we did. And so it's just to say that I firmly believe that for every business, there is a solution. So I'll introduce Shelley, Seyward from Casella, and she'll talk to you about her program. And then the goal is just to have a dialogue. So a lot of you have probably been having questions about what might work for you. We'd love to help answer those and bring you a little further.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Emily, for having me here today. It's a pleasure to be here, and the struggle is real, right? Every employer really wants to provide the best benefits for their employees, and when it comes to childcare, this is a really tricky one. So it's been a pleasure to partner with Let's Grow Kids and to be able to do one small thing for our people at Casella. So a little bit about Casella Waste. We were founded back in 1975 in Rutland, Vermont. We have over 500 employees who live and work in the state. And our operations are actually scattered out about geographically. So we're up in Highgate, Vermont, Hyde Park. We have a landfill in Coventry, Vermont. We have several hauling operations, including one right here in Middlebury. So our employees are all around the state, which also can be a bit of a challenge. I think for employers who have everyone at one hub, there may be other types of solutions that you could be considering. But for us, with our corporate hub in Rutland, we have about 250 employees that work there. And that encompasses our finance department, our credit and collections department, AP, a lot of our sales folks are there. So it gives us an opportunity to focus in particular on Rutland. What we want to do is obviously attract people to come and stay in Vermont, stay in the Rutland area. We want to attract young talent, and we also want to be able to retain them. So what can you do in terms of small benefits to make folks want to stay with you as an employer? We did a survey in conjunction with Let's Grow Kids and asked parents, what are you facing? What are the challenges that you are having with childcare? The top of the list was, of course, lack of capacity for infants at childcare centers. So it's really hard to find a place for our littlest people. Scheduling difficulties, work hours, very typical that it's 8 to 5. Oftentimes childcare centers don't open until 8 and they expect you to pick up your child by 5. So what do you do with that conundrum? So there's oftentimes also an associated fee if you want to drop your children off early or pick them up late. So the already very, very burdensome cost of childcare just escalates. We were told that it was cost prohibitive to send children to a registered high-quality childcare program. So oftentimes parents were looking for other options, such as having their children spend time with family members or friends, or childcare programs that were not registered or what is deemed high quality. And what did that mean for our people? They were really open. It's amazing what people will tell you when you ask them what their challenges are. And they said, geez, we feel totally stressed out at work. It's hard for us to focus on many days because we are worried about getting out of work at 5 o'clock, or we're worried that we're not going to have money to literally make the right choices to buy groceries based on the cost of childcare. So I would encourage all of the employers here to have open dialogue with your people and find out what their issues are. So we as a company, we started meeting with a handful of other small businesses in Rutland to see if they had other solutions. So we really tried to meet together about every 2 or 3 months for about a year. And there were a handful of solutions that we were kicking around, including creating a daycare for a small number of companies in the Rutland area. So we did a lot of research around that, actually even looked at a couple of buildings. we talked about partnering with a number of the larger child care providers in the area to see if there was a way that they would potentially give preferential spots to our little consortium of businesses. We spoke with Killington, they have a large daycare there actually, to talk about busing children from Rutland to Killington to be part of their daycare program. So we did a lot of spade work around this, and we decided that it made sense to take a step back and just focus on a small piece of helping folks by giving them a scholarship, and that's what we're going to talk about next. So we did a pilot program in 2018 in conjunction with Let's Grow Kids, and that also involved a survey that we sent out to employees and asked a whole host of questions about how many children they had, what their ages were, what parents' income level was as well. At first, we thought about trying to do a sliding scale for this scholarship program, and then we realized how difficult it can be to actually have an understanding of what people are making in their household, because there are oftentimes two partners involved. We wanted the program that we selected to have a positive impact on all of our people in Vermont. As I mentioned, our geography is widespread. This child care scholarship was designed to help supplement payment to high-quality registered child care providers. So that was also a question on the survey. Where are you currently sending your children? So in order to be eligible for the scholarship, you had to have your children enrolled in a high-quality child care program, or you had to be willing to partner with Let's Grow Kids to find that provider. And we did that in a number of cases. We were able to help our people find a different provider to get in a high-quality program. And the other thing that we have done, obviously I mentioned the challenges around dropping children early in the morning and picking them up later at night, is we have offered a lot of flex time for our folks to accommodate pickups and drop-offs. So we have some people who might come in at 7 and leave at 4, or just have truncated hours and do something like a 9 to 3. So in order to, again, attract and retain really great folks, we felt like this was the right thing to do. So again, we did send out an initial survey to all of our employees in Vermont. I should mention, we actually do business in 6 states. So this has been Vermont-centric, and we're trying to figure out how we might tackle this in the other 5 states in which we do business, because we do have 2,200 employees. With the initial survey, we got about 20 to 25 responses of folks that either fully or partially met our established criteria. And again, that was, do you have young children? Do you have children in daycare currently? And we actually rolled this out for both part-time and full-time employees. And throughout 2018, which was our pilot year last year, we had on average 8 to 15 participants at any given time. And the award that we give our folks is anywhere from $200 to $270 a month. And we do have a dependent care flexible spending account option as well. So if people have signed up for that as part of their benefits plan, it's tax-free money, which is great. And if they haven't signed up for a flexible spending account as it pertains to dependent care, then it is taxed, but still a nice little benefit. And the range is based on the number of children in daycare and the number of days of the week that they're in daycare. So that's how we were able to structure it. So as with any pilot or new program you're trying to roll out, you learn a lot of different lessons, right? So the first lesson we learned was to communicate often and with purpose to employees, and to fully explain the program benefits and criteria. What was really amazing to me is that people were afraid of the program at first, and they thought that perhaps we were trying to get something from them, or they just didn't understand, what do you mean this is an actual free benefit to us? So what you describe to employees is so important so that they fully understand that this is a no strings attached program designed to help you. The other item that I would focus on, would communicate often, is if you do have a dependent care flexible spending account, make sure that you explain what that is and how people can enroll easily and really streamline the process for people. Remain fluid. The needs of our employees change over time. They may have a child who's 5 and then entering into kindergarten, and maybe another child on their way out. So you have to continually check in with them and see what their needs are. And also the changing of registered providers. I bet 4 or 5 of our employees have changed what registered care provider they're using over the last year, which was also a bit of a surprise. Create a tracking mechanism for the program that's informative and easy to use. We just have an Excel spreadsheet. There's nothing magic about it, but it is important to make sure that you're tracking what people are getting for this benefit. And we did the pilot in 2018, and we decided to continue it for 2019, and we've made a commitment to our employees that we're actually going to make it a formal part of our benefits on an ongoing basis. So it'll be part of our benefits enrollment in late 2019, which is really exciting. And our entire management team is really committed to this, really committed to making sure that this program works and continues. That's about all I wanted to share today. Any questions for me about the program, how we manage it?
I have a few.
Great.
Do you offer that for female employees as well as male employees and fathers
Absolutely.
and mothers? And have you ever run into, do you ever have 2 parents who work at Casella who both might qualify, and do you have a limit per family?
That's a great question, right? I might be recruiting today.
Well, per family, we have a number of people who have, multiple, so.
I don't know of any husband and wife duos that work for the company currently.
Yeah.
But if they did, they would absolutely be eligible for the benefit. I don't know how we would handle it. We usually cap it at the 270.
Yeah.
So I guess we'd have to,
Yeah.
it's a great question. Food for thought from me.
My other question is if you if you have a sense of how it is working in terms of retaining employees, and there's no strings attached, so you're not saying if you get this benefit you have to stay with us through the time that your kid is, I don't know, or whatever, right? So do you have a sense of how functional that would be for retention? Or
I do, actually.
Yeah.
So I did this presentation in Rutland for the legislators back in January, I think, and I actually had a sidekick with me that day who's one of our employees who gets the scholarship, and she's actually in our tax department. She's a wonderful woman with 2 young children, and she gave a pretty passionate speech about how it has changed her ability to grocery shop, to make sure that she has extra money for even car repairs, and has been able to send her kiddos for an extra day to daycare. They were only going for 2 days, and now they're going for 3 days. So for her, she's very passionate and said, I'm not leaving Casella. They're going to have to kick me out the door. And that is what we have consistently heard is, wow, what a nice benefit, and it does make a big difference on a monthly basis.
And that's in conjunction with the flexibility too, so
Right.
she was able to utilize the 10 hours of free care for all Vermont 3 to 5-year-olds, so that she could leave at 11 and take her kid from one program to another. So she was still patching together care, but a bunch of things together made it considerably easier for her.
I think one of the interesting things that Chloe said at that meeting was that she wouldn't have, first she didn't know she'd be eligible. Because she's that middle, she's like, I have a good job, I like my job. And she normally wouldn't apply or be eligible for a lot of service or a lot of support. But in this program she was, and that made a huge difference for her. Because she said, I pay for everything. you know, we all know that middle bracket, you know, pays for everything, you know, so for her to be able to say, I have a great job, I still can't make it work with childcare, but this is helping me, and like you said, they're gonna have to take me out of my job.
So I do think it's helping with retention.
Awesome, thank you. I have one more question.
Sure, please.
So my last question is, how you're dealing with the lack of availability of licensed care places in various, I mean, I'm sure that you're dealing with that in various places in the market, it's problem here. So what do you do if your employees are like, there aren't licensed spots in my area? Do you say like, bus your kid to Burlington, or like, if they were in Middlebury, you know, like, happen to know there aren't infant spots in Middlebury right now.
Right, so we have partnered with Building Bright Futures, and we oftentimes will just put our folks directly in touch with our contacts there, because they have a list and can help. And we're actually pretty lucky in Rutland. We have a couple, there's a very devoted young woman who started an infant care center, solely infant care center in Proctor, Vermont, and she's great. And she has, I think, 12 infant spots, which is pretty astounding. And another child care center by the name of Reckaroo's continues to add infant spots. And Emily, I don't know if you have any more insight on.
Yeah, I mean, it's an issue, right? That's part of the problem, is that we can give our employees as much as we want, but if they're in those spots to take it, it's an issue in Middlebury, it's an issue across the state. We have so many young kids, especially in the infant to toddler range. When we get to pre-K, there's a lot more options now, but still, it's really hard, you often have to wait. So I think that the heart of the question that you're asking is, if I've got employees that want to take advantage of this benefit and they can't find care, what do you do?
What do you do?
Benefit?
Yeah.
And you guys face that a little bit with, like, if they had folks that were in unregistered care, and they made the decision as a company that that isn't something that they would cover. Part of the reason for that is because registered high-quality care tends to be more expensive. So that was a decision that they made to say, first of all, backing up, 90% of the brain develops before age 5. So we want our kids in the highest quality care that we possibly can get them into. And that was the decision that this business made about the type of care they want to support. You could obviously decide to do something differently.
Yeah.
At Let's Grow Kids, we do a similar benefit program where we offer up to, I don't have a kid that age, so it's up to $5,000, right? Which is an amazing benefit, you know. And if you think about it from the employer side, it is a hunk of money, but it's for a short period of time for employees. So that cost, if you're giving $5,000 for 5 years, it is a hunk of money, but it's a lot less than it's going to be to recruit and even train that employee to come back. So it's sort of, I think a lot of the conversations I've had is thinking about the money you're spending on your employees in a slightly more fluid way, and really trying to keep the ones that we want. But also Shelley's program was financial plus flexibility, right? So those two things make it possible that she can have a baby's at work policy for a period of time and then recruit them.
And one thing we did research was supporting this woman in Proctor who was starting a daycare center and trying to figure out if there was a way to make that work as a partnership. And that didn't come to fruition. We decided that the scholarship program was the best way for us to spend our dollars for employees. But I think there are ways that we can be thinking outside the box around that. So there are definitely some challenges in opening your own child care program in the workplace, but it may be possible to have some type of a partnership with someone in the community who wants to open.
And if I can plug, there's a meeting at 10:30 today. It's our regular Building Bright Futures Council meeting, and one of our subjects that'll be the majority of the meeting is how to attract and retain employees to the early ed field. That's an issue across the board too. People aren't entering the field like they used to. So if any of you would like to come, we're at CSAC over at Kenema Park. That's 10:30. So if you have ideas, we're starting with a brainstorming session today, and we'd love to follow that. We'll follow up on that meeting going forward. But it's an issue.
And certainly that's the other end of the conversation I'm having with businesses is, you know, the two biggest costs for early care providers are rent, overhead, and the cost of staff. So if there's a way for businesses to support those two things or other things to help just the daily operations be actually functional. A lot of early care providers don't think of themselves as small businesses, and so they don't avail themselves of the same services as small businesses do, and they can be so benefited from those free services. But also, if you look at the numbers, it's a really hard business. So to the extent that your businesses have extra, have some kind of excess that you can use to support the programs in town, that's a conversation that we're interested in helping bridge as well.
I was just going to say, yesterday when providers were setting up their information, we're finding that in the preschool arena, it's looking like we're starting to have really adequate spaces available, and especially the programs that offer extended day care. So families can drop their children off at 8 and do extended day until 4:30. And I'm just curious about the infant care. So there are in the county some new infant care programs opening. The Whiting School, as you're probably aware, went offline as a public school. The kids are in another school, and that's being opened as a child care program, but it's far. I'm not sure it's further than Proctor is from Rutland. I think it might be, I think it's a similar, but it's one option. But we're wondering about in the elder care field, there's a list of providers who are not yet registered, and whether there's capacity to help those people become registered in high quality. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about Make Way for Kids. Is that an option for our county?
Yep, absolutely. So we at Let's Grow Kids, we have a few big teams. The business team is little. Maddie and I are here. Our programs team is really extensive. These are former child care providers and directors who have gone around. They're statewide, and they go into programs to help them increase quality and capacity. So they're having one-on-one conversations about what could we do to increase how many kids you could have, and what can we do to help you raise your STARS level. Because once you do that, a lot of other great benefits flow from that. So we've launched a pilot program in funding called Make Way for Kids, and that program is really designed to infuse new high-quality spaces and to increase capacity and quality, basically. So that's open to programs statewide who are interested in increasing their STARS levels, and it comes with some really high-quality technical support from our team as well. So we just finished a grant round in January, our second grant round, and so I believe that it's going to be an annual thing, so for providers in the area to be aware of it. The Mary Johnson program with the new infant slots, we'd like to fund that program, and so the goal is just to increase capacity and quality because it's such an issue.
So I'm wondering if we could first thank you, Shelley, for doing this amazing presentation.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And maybe reconfigure our chairs a little bit so that we can all see each other, and we would love to know, everybody who's here, and what you all would like to have happen, if anything, that we could all make happen. I know we had heard from people in Springfield that the idea of setting up a scholarship program like this was a little bit overwhelming. If we could do something community-wide, would be great. So maybe if we could just go around and do quick introductions about who we are, and then we'll open it up to your suggestions, your reflections on what Shelley and Emily shared with us. So I'm Cheryl Mitchell. I used to work at Mary Johnson when my kids were very, very little, long ago, and then at the Parent Child Center, and then later for the state of Vermont, sort of overseeing the Agency of Human Services, which is kind of a big agency. And now I'm working especially with Dr. Brakely and with Darla and with Let's Grow Kids around trying to really zero in on this. We know that these are the most important years of a child's life, and what we do as a community to make sure that all of our kids get the greatest start.
I'm Blistien, I'm the Addison Independent, and yeah, we currently don't offer any kind of child care benefits to our staff other than the flexible work schedule piece. And with that said, father and stepmother and 2 sisters in the business, and all 3 of us have had children the last year. And we made sort of maternity policies for ourselves. And in doing so, we were like, we really need to figure out something for the rest of our staff. So that is what we're interested in.
Oh, is it?
Good morning. I'm Ulti Danforth. I'm the Human Services Instructor at PAHCC here in Middlebury. My program consists of 2 classes, a foundations class which focuses on human development throughout the lifespan, and then an early childhood program. And so I have young people coming into the field who are really passionate and generally show a high level of commitment to this field by staying in the program for 2 years. I feel incredibly just grateful to our community members. We have a number of high-quality programs that support my students' learning, including the Addison County Parent-Child Center, who has the play lab on the premises. So my students are continually hearing the background music, so to speak, of, just highly qualified professionals who interact with children in such important ways. They interact and communicate as a staff on such a professional level, just on so many levels. They're a great model for my students, and that's just the beginning. There are other wonderful, organizations that support my students within a mile. So, anyway. Thank you.
Hi, Marie Jewett. I'm from Cooperative Insurance Companies, but also wearing another hat with the Addison County Economic Development Corporation. We certainly are aware of the need for quality childcare and the expense to people when they're trying to find that care. So just here, interested to see what's available or what's being talked about.
I'm Cam Russell, and I'm from Vermont Coffee Company. And we have many employees who have young children, and it's, childcare, there's not a lot of places or good places. So we just want to, that's what Marie said, kind of see what's out there and see what we can do maybe to support them in finding good care.
Fred Kenny, Director of the Addison County Economic Development Corporation. As Marie said, we have a pretty large interest in this issue, both from job placement, but also finding solutions for employers. And we are taking a role kind of advocating on this issue in Montpelier as well.
Mike Corbett, I'm with Vermont Economic Development Authority in the same building as Fred on Route 7 South. And I'm a commercial lender, so I work with businesses a lot and always trying to help them where I can, advise where I can. This is an issue along with workforce, which someone brought up. I also live here right up the road from Emily and have 2 young kids and kind of went through that same situation that others described. Even though my wife and I have good jobs and relatively flexible jobs, even still today, my daughter's in preschool, going to go to kindergarten next year, so I'm going to get a nice big raise from not paying for that. But and my son's already in school, but there's still days where if I couldn't bring my son or daughter or both to work, we would have challenges. There's early release days and all these things where my wife has to stay at school as a teacher, and we have to figure out how to deal with that. So it's I definitely have experienced that struggle firsthand, maybe not as rough as some people have it, but so I see that need, and then I see the businesses struggling to retain employees, and I think there's got to be some way that we can help with that.
Morning. I'm Stacy Hutt, also with Cooperative Insurance Companies, here in a capacity to kind of figure out what we can do to enhance our benefits for our employees. We can currently offer a flexible spending account, and so I'm interested in kind of talking to you to figure out how you go about melding your scholarship with a flexible spending account. I'm interested in that. We're also researching paternity and maternity leave right now, so just kind of trying to see what kind of options we can implement for our employees.
I'm Kathy Jones, I'm with Vermont Cyber Company. Pretty much what she said. 70 employees, but about 50 in Vermont.
So you all are representing a lot of, I mean, I haven't got to the side of the room yet, a lot of people, so.
Hi, I'm Natalie Glenn. I work with Let's Grow Kids. And I've just recently, over the last few months, started working with Emily with her work. And then personally, I have a 3-year-old and was out of the workforce for a year and a half because I couldn't find childcare. So it's been monumental for me to find an employer that supported that need. It was the only way I was able to go back to work.
Why don't I use my turn to focus on the dependent care,
Yeah.
like spending account question. So if an employee enrolls in that annually, at least with our program, we want to make sure that the monies that are going in there are fully used, because our program is one of those, you've got to use it in that program year. So that's my first just sort of note of caution, is talk with your program administrator about what that looks like. But what we've done with the scholarship monies is if someone has signed up for the flex spend, we ask our employees on a monthly basis to give us basically an accounting. So the initial step is we want a letter from the registered care provider just stating that these children are a part of their program. So that's the first check, and that just has to be done once unless there's a change in the registered care provider. And then on a monthly basis, we ask them to give us a receipt form. And then if they're part of the flex spend, there's actually a form that they have to fill out for that program. But then we just deposit the money directly into their flex spending account, and then they can use those monies to pay their provider. So it's retroactive by 1 month. So people give us their receipts, and then they usually receive payment within a handful of weeks after.
So just one clarification, because I don't know very much about this, but if you put their money directly into their flex account, then it would not reflect on labor applications for CPAP, is that right? Because we discussed it.
That's a big benefit of the FSA,
Yeah.
both for the employee and the employer. It's not.
So that's okay, just wanted to make sure I understood.
And is it true to say Emily's available to any of you anytime to keep working on
Couldn't be
something?
more available.
So I'm Dr. Jody Brakely, and I've been in town since actually 1969. I did leave to do medical training and everything, and then came back and started my practice in 1980. I practiced primary care in town for 25 years, and some of the people here are people that I knew as infants. And then in the last 14 years, I specialized in developmental behavioral pediatrics, which is a combination of general pediatrics, pediatric neurology, psychology, psychiatry, nursing, teaching, and social work, and probably some other things. And I practiced I developed my own practice because I wanted insurers in Vermont to know what developmental behavioral pediatrics was, and so how to reimburse for that. I worked for the state for 14 years at the Child Development Clinic, and I do volunteer work in my spare time. So, just in the last few years, I've suspended my private practice because I am one of the unregistered, but hopefully not low-quality childcare. We have 4 grandchildren under the age of 3, and I feel like the most important thing I can do, and for which I have some knowledge, is to make sure that my kids can work at their jobs without all the inherent stress, being able to focus on their work, know that they don't have a deadline for drop-offs or pickups, and it's been really probably the most marvelous thing that has happened. So that's pretty good. But I do have a question, because I thank you for your wonderful presentation. It was really, really interesting and informative for me. And one of the things that picked up my ears when you were talking about, I think the first survey, is learning that parents who are faced without really great care, or even if they do have great care for their children, there's still a lot of stress associated with that. And it's hard to concentrate if you know you have to pick up your children at a certain time. And so I'm wondering if you're also following the actual health of your employees. And the reason I'm wondering about that is because we know so much about the impact of stress on health and on our immune systems. And I'm very interested in that. So are you keeping track of that? That's part of what Cheryl and I are interested in.
So we have a very robust EAP, Employee Assistance Program, and anytime people are exhibiting symptoms of stress on the job, that is, I can tell you the 800 number by heart, and we really encourage people to seek help, and I know that it includes, I think, 8 free visits with a psychologist or some social worker, and in terms of tracking individual health, our management team seems to be very keyed into how people are doing and feeling. So we have a lot of conversations about there's a need to take time off, or
so that's the part that I'm interested in is, do you keep track of, I mean, I'm sure you keep track of who's not coming into work or who's missed a lot of work, and how to really structure that without becoming, stepping over the HIPAA regulations, which is kind of tricky, but really interested in maybe just the basic facts of if you have access to really good care for your child and you have this flexibility and you don't have the drop dead lines, you should help better.
I think it absolutely is.
Yeah, we think that, but Medicaid says there's no research that demonstrates that really good, high-quality care for parents and for children impacts health. And so they're very reluctant to pay for that. So that's one of our goals. Well, I shouldn't say that personally. It's one of my goals is to say, yes, there is research, we all know it, let's demonstrate that. So
We don't have a tracking mechanism in place, but
could you?
we could.
That would be great. That would be great. So if people start doing this, if you keep track of that one extra thing, health, not just, and that distinction between mental health, which is from the neck up, and physical health from, it's so artificial and we really know it, but it's taken a long, long time for insurance companies to really appreciate that, and we're not there yet. So if you can keep track of that, that really helps.
I'd be interested in your thoughts about how to track it.
I will.
Okay.
We will share some thoughts about that. Great. Sorry to take up too much.
I'm Caroline Carpenter, and before I forget this, that Dr. Brinkley brought up grandparents. Grandparents as providers, and it's yet another workforce issue because we have people leave the workforce near retirement or long before retirement to provide care to their grandkids so that their children can be in the workforce. So, well, my roles, I'm a mother of 3. I'm the president of National United Middlebury. I'm on the board of ACEDC. And, as an employer and a parent and a community member, this just feels like such a root cause issue, particularly, we've always faced availability and cost issues, but the population issue in Vermont, flat to going down, and the workforce issues to me are making this a much more important issue to look at. It's always been important, but almost crisis level. And as a root cause, it's a root cause around people having families, family planning. Family planning forever is sort of often revolved around not having 2 kids in childcare because of cost. We need people having families. We need grandparents staying in the workforce. And as Cheryl keeps hearing me say, the birth to 3 is urgent, but right next to it is, as Mike said, the school age issue. School systems and the workforce aren't working together. There aren't consistent after-school programs. The early release days are increasing. Let's not even start on summer. But we really have, and when I say we, I think the Addison County community can do some seen what Cheryl did 30 years ago with Parent Child Center and many other initiatives. And I think when we all come together, we're very creative. So I'm inspired.
I'm Heather Jerome. I'm also with National Bank of Middlebury. I'm our Human Resources Officer. And just really echo a lot of what Caroline said. You see a lot of those same issues. We have a lot of young women in the workforce having children or delaying having families because of these issues, and just hearing some of those conversations come up that people are choosing not to have children because of the cost and the availability it's really sad to hear that. Or when on the flip side you have somebody who then finds out maybe that they're pregnant, and now what am I going to do? Do I have to leave my job because I don't know if I can afford these things? I think that we can work together to do more to try to alleviate some of the things that we're seeing.
I'm Darla Senecal. I work for Building Bright Futures, which is a public-private partnership that holds councils throughout the state of Vermont. I cover Addison and Rutland County, and our purview is to research the needs of young children and families in early education and care throughout the state. We report to a state council, which then reports to the legislature and the governor's office. So we hold council here in Addison, like I said, the second Friday of every month at 10:30. That table consists of care providers, folks from the health department, anyone who has anything to do, CSAC sits at the table, anyone who has anything to do with young children and families, and we try to find where the gaps are regionally and what we can do as a council to help fill those gaps and to bring that information forward. I was a child care provider 28 years ago.
The best folks in their business work. It's great. So I'll just use my time to just give you a quick legislative update, which is that we have a really comprehensive bill in the legislature right now, H 531. It gives a lot of increased support for parents around CCFAP money, the money that helps them actually afford care, and some supports to the workforce as well through loan repayments and other things. So it passed the House unanimously, which is a pretty big deal. It's now in the Senate, and hearing from folks in the business community is crucial to keep it moving forward. It's the first step for us. It's not solving all the problems, but it's a really good first step. So for anybody who's interested, there's nothing we would rather have than your interest to help push this forward. And part of what we want to hear right now, when I said part of my role is to help business leaders speak up and out, part of it is hearing the struggle. Legislators need to hear how you're struggling to really know that this is an issue they need to take up right now. So I'm happy to follow up on that area as well after this.
So, and I just say this, that we get, I don't know if everyone does, but many of us get little notices on our email from Let's Grow Kids, and they say, this is going on, and this is, click here and you'll find out from your legislator. So since Emily now has everybody's email, it might be great if you send that link to everybody, because then it makes it so easy to actually say.
I do one-on-one for the business folks. I will draft your email for you. I will do it whatever you need to get it as easy as possible. But we do try to make it as easy as possible to,
Works great.
it should take less than 5 minutes. Thank you.
Rob Carter, I'm the president of the Addison County Chamber of Commerce. And I represent over 400 businesses and nonprofits in the community. And so we're trying to, just be aware of what the needs are. We know that a lot of our employers have the kinds of situations you're talking about. So I see, my role is partly just informing and connecting, by inviting people to come here and other things that come up. I'm also with Fred, part of our local workforce development group, and certainly child care, housing, and then a lot of other issues are part of what we're talking about. So, it's good to see how much is happening. And the more we know of the other people who are working on the same issues, the more we can collaborate rather than, be in silos, working on our own. So that's great.
Well, thanks again. I'll just say I lost my daughter to New York because they could not find adequate child care where they were living. So she had a show opening on Broadway, so she was raised in child care. Child care is great for young kids, but I think it's such an issue that we don't want to be losing our children. We want them to have options. I mean, obviously, we'd like them to be able to go and grow wherever they want to, but it would be fabulous. And I would echo, I think that we can do something in this community that really will make it possible for us to find the right appropriate spaces for families with infants. I think that we can work together maybe with the schools to figure out some alternative to this suddenly it's an early release day or it's closed or something. We're so appreciative that you're all here. I think what Jody and Darla and I can offer through the Early Care and Learning Partnership is that we will be continuing to work with the healthcare community about whether we can use some healthcare financing in this world. If you all can be thinking about child care and the way you support your employees as a healthcare related benefit as well as a workforce retention benefit, it would be great. There was a chunk in the legislation that was initially proposed of tax credits for businesses for being involved in child care. It got taken out of 531, but it's still floating out there. So you might want to take a look at that and see if it's something that you would like to focus on for next year, because I think people can do the kinds of things that Shelley talked about, but it might be even easier if you were getting some tax credits for what you're doing. And thank you all so much for coming. And thank you, Shelley, for taking the time to come on.
My pleasure.
We just want to thank you. So I would say you're welcome. I think we are getting here right on time. Welcome to hang around. If you want to see yourself on television, this will be posted on the Middlebury Community Television site, and they're wonderful. We love working with them. Daryl and I do a show with them. And if you don't mind, if there's anybody who doesn't want to be seen more publicly, please let us know. But other than that, there have been a lot of people who couldn't come today that said, could you record this? So we'd like to be able to share that with them as well. Please take some coffee and donuts.
And we just got new business cards, so if anybody wants our business cards, we have some.
I'd be interested to know if this is sort of a beginning conversation. Would any of you like to see this happen once a month, or again, in some way, shape, or form, if it's 2 or 3 more meetings, or to see where this might go, or is this what you want? You just wanted to dip your toe in and see what was happening? Is anyone interested in having follow-up meetings in any way, shape, or form?
I think we would be interested in that.
I think there's a lot of employers that aren't here that might
okay.
be spending the time in the place. So.
Okay. Is this early morning hour the best time for you folks?
I think, Shelley, you mentioned that the Small Business Consortium down in Rutland got together every 3 months or so.
We did for about a year and a half. Yeah, it was great. A nice way to pull people together and generate ideas. And even though we weren't able to come up with a grand plan, I know we're all continuing to work out solutions individually, and we do still swap ideas.
And I was very struck. I'm on the board of Let's Grow Kids, and when we were talking about what the family policy should be, the idea of giving a really large scholarship, first people said, oh, we can't do it because it will be so different from what's going on in the rest of the world. And then people pointed out over the lifetime of a really good employee, it's a relatively small investment for being able to recruit the best people and being able to retain them.
And we had 2 sets of twins that were being born at the time, and we have, I believe, 100% retention of our staff who have kids that comes back, so it's pretty sizable.
And I'm happy if people have follow-up questions for me. I have some business cards too, so if people have additional thoughts or questions about how we set up our program, let me know.
Thank you.
Send it along to
Very much.